Welcome back to the Savage Plus Sanctified podcast, where we talk grown woman kingdom wisdom, money, dating, healing, and peace without sugarcoating anything. I'm your host, Valerie Logans. All right, we're closing out this Counterfeit versus Promise series today. We talked about what a counterfeit is. We talked about waiting. We talked about how the enemy loves to slide in with something close enough right when your promise is near. But today, we're talking about the thing that makes counterfeits extra dangerous. Now remember, I never speak on things I do not understand, relate to, or not experienced. So get to it. Sit with me. Let's talk about desperation, because desperation will make a smart woman act brand new. Desperation will make you ignore what you already know. Desperation will make you talk yourself into stuff you would normally side-eye. Desperation will make you call a warning sign a challenge and call a red flag potential. And for my grown women, listen to me. We don't have the time, energy, or emotional bandwidth to keep learning the same lesson in different outfits. These are the facts. So this episode is about releasing desperation so you stop reaching for counterfeits and start staying aligned long enough to actually receive the promise. Desperation is the doorway. Let's tell the truth. Counterfeits don't show up when you're strong and stable and fully resourced. Counterfeits show up when you're tired, when you're lonely, when you're afraid, when you're running out of time, when your bank account is looking like it needs intercession, you got lint in your pockets, when your emotions are hungry, when your patience is thin. And that's why desperation is such a setup, because it makes anything look like relief. But relief is not the same as provision, and fast is not the same as God. So we're going to walk this out in a kingdom way, Bible anchored, real life practical, and yes, we're still doing the work. Here is the first shift. Anxiety is a signal, not a master. We're starting with Philippians 4:6 because this verse will snatch you back into alignment. It says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus." Now, I love this because it doesn't say, "Oh, you won't have pressure." It says, "Don't let pressure run you." And there's a difference between having a need and living in panic. The world teaches you to panic. The world teaches you to chase. The world teaches you to secure it yourself. The world will validate your desperation like it's wisdom. The world demands that you stay in a survival state. Oh, you better take that job. Oh, you better stay with that man. Oh, you better accept that offer. Oh, you better lock it down. Oh, you better hurry. But God says pray. And not pray like a last resort. Pray like it's your first move, your strongest move, your most intelligent move. Because peace is not you being calm. Peace is spiritual protection. It says the peace of God will guard your heart and mind, meaning it stands watch. When desperation rises, your mind starts lying to you. Your mind starts saying, "This is the only chance. You'll never get another opportunity. You're too old to start over. You can't afford to say no. You better take what you can get." But this would again in a survival mode. Peace guards you from decisions you'll regret. So yes, anxiety is a signal, but it for sure is not your master. It's a reminder to go back to God first. Let me say this in grown woman language. Some of us are praying too general while living too specific. And then we wonder why we're still feeling desperate. We say, "God bless me," but we don't say, "God, show me what's aligned and what's a distraction." We say, "God, open doors," but we don't say, "God, close the wrong ones, even if they look profitable." We say, "God, send provision," but we don't say, God, keep me from compromise. And this is why I love Philippians 4:6, because it says, you need to make your requests known. Be clear, not because God is confused, because you need to be anchored. Because when you pray clearly, you can recognize the answer clearly. And this matters because desperation comes when you feel like you have to fix it yourself. But here's the truth. If you get something by your own power, you will have to keep it by your own power. You get money through compromise, you'll keep needing compromise. You get a relationship through ignoring your convictions, you'll keep ignoring your convictions. You get a breakthrough through shortcuts, you'll keep paying the price of the shortcut. That's not freedom. That's bondage with a receipt. So prayer isn't the soft option. Prayer is a strategic option. Let me say that again. Prayer is strategic. You are not trapped. God always provides an exit. Let's delve into the next scripture that provides this lesson. 1 Corinthians 10:13. No temptation has overtaken you except such as is common to man, but God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation will also make the way of escape, that you may be able to bear it. 1 Corinthians 10:13. That means your temptation is not unique. Your struggle is not rare. Your pressure is not special. And I don't say that to minimize you. I say that to free you from the lie that you're helpless. Because the enemy loves that lie. You have no choice. You have to take this. You have to stay. You have to accept it. No, God already made a way of escape. So here's the grown woman question. Where is your exit? Because there's always an exit. Sometimes the exit is a boundary. Sometimes the exit is deleting a number. Sometimes the exit is turning down the offer. Sometimes the exit is blocking the distraction. Sometimes the exit is getting honest and admitting, this is feeding my desperation. And here's the part we don't like. If you ignore the exit long enough, you start calling your disobedience a season. No, ma'am, it's a choice. Let me say that again. It's a choice. And when you understand that you have an exit, your desperation starts losing power. This is the doing the work piece. Sometimes your breakthrough is not in doing more. It's in stopping long enough to hear direction. Because a lot of us are praying and then immediately jumping back into noise. You pray and then TV. Pray and then scrolling. Pray and then calling that friend who always talks you out of obedience. Pray and then running back to the same coping mechanism. And then you say, God doesn't speak. Sis, are you giving him room? That's my question. Because if prayer is a conversation, why are you doing all the talking and none of the listening? I had to right size myself on this because you can't be out here saying you want discernment, but you never sit still long enough to receive it. So my practice when temptation rises is simple. I stop. I don't reply immediately. I don't commit immediately. I don't say yes because I'm flattered. I don't say yes because I'm scared. I pause long enough to ask, God, is this aligned? And if you can't pause for wisdom, that's not excitement, that's desperation. Now we anchor this with Matthew 4:10-11, the temptation of Jesus. Away with you, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only you shall serve. Then the devil left him, and behold, angels came and ministered to him. Matthew 4:10-11. This is important because Jesus was tempted at a weak point, hungry, alone, after fasting. That's exactly how temptation works. It comes when you're vulnerable. But what I need you to notice is this. After the devil left, angels came and ministered, meaning there is support on the other side of resistance. But if you keep choosing the counterfeit, you never get to the angels ministered part. You keep repeating the same cycle. Need to panic, to compromise, to regret, to shame, to repeat. That's not a life. That's a loop. So we break the cycle by doing what Jesus did. You don't negotiate with temptation. You don't romanticize it. You don't explain it. You resist it. And then you let God minister to the part of you that wanted relief. Now let's talk about it. Sin doesn't hit like it used to. Now here's something that is funny and also very real. When you get close to God, sin stops being satisfying. You do what you used to do and then sit there like, that's it? I risk my peace for that? That can be any big shift in your life. Something you walked away from, drinking random men of the moment, getting high, shopping binges when you have responsibilities. And it's because you're not the same woman anymore. You're being renewed. And yes, sin has a feeling. That's why Psalm 38 is so heavy, because David describes the physical repercussions of sin. There is no soundness in my flesh, nor any health in my bones because of my sin. Psalm 38:3. And then this line right here. My wounds are foul and festering because of my foolishness. Psalm 38:5. Whew, child. Because we love to do foolishness and then act surprised by the outcome. David said, it's my foolishness, not the devil, not my ex, not my boss, not my childhood, me, my foolishness. And that's not condemnation, that's accountability. Because accountability is what breaks desperation. Once you own what desperation makes you do, you can finally stop doing it. Now we have to go here, because this is where women lose years. Some of us keep a counterfeit around as a placeholder. It's not that serious. I'm just lonely. I'm just buying time. I'll let it go when God sends better. But God is not a 1 foot in, 1 foot out God. You cannot pray for promise while clutching counterfeit. And sometimes God is not removing people because He already told you what to do, and He's waiting to see if you'll obey. Some of us are praying, God, remove them. And God is looking at you like, no, you remove them, because you already know. You don't need a sign. You need to stop bargaining with your peace. And yes, I'm saying this with love, because this is as real as it gets. We are not playing ourselves in our 30s, 40s, and 50s like we did in our 20s. Well, at least not anymore. Here's how you release desperation. Let me land this plane with practical steps. Step 1, name the need without panic. Say, I need provision, not I'm doomed. Step 2, pray specifically. Philippians 4:6. God provide, and God keep me aligned, and God give me discernment, and God don't let me get desperate. Step 3, identify the exit. 1 Corinthians 10:13. What's the way of escape? What boundary do you need? What do you need to stop entertaining? Step 4, stop long enough to hear. Don't pray and jump into noise. Step 5, choose obedience over relief. Matthew 4:10-11, because angels minister after resistance. Step 6, release the counterfeit fully, not until something better comes. Fully, because you can't receive with clenched fists. So today, if you take nothing else from me, take this. Desperation makes you grab, but peace makes you discern. And peace is your guardrail. You don't need to be anxious for anything. You don't need to be desperate for anything, because God has already made a way of escape. And what He has for you will not require you to betray your alignment to receive it. Remember, you are not the first woman facing financial challenges, marriage woes, or waiting for your person. Do not think you are running out of time or not keeping up so that you will grab anything. Now, if this series has been speaking to you, I want you to do one thing today. Ask yourself this out loud. Where am I tempted to accept relief over alignment? And be honest, not dramatic, honest, because honesty is the beginning of healing. So as you move through your day and you are lifing, ask yourself honestly, Where am I choosing relief over alignment? Where am I trying to rush what God is trying to mature? Because real provision will always align with your assignment. Until next time, stay grounded, do the work, and don't grab what cost you your peace. Do not forget to like and share with a woman you think might need this, and subscribe. I am Valerie Logans, and this is Savage plus Sanctified.